Hey everyone, welcome. In today's explainer, we're going to break down the Form 2 science topic of ecosystems. Now, this is a super important chapter for your KSSM syllabus, so whether this is your first time looking at it or you're just here for a quick revision, you are in exactly the right place.
All right, let's start off with a little puzzle, shall we? I want you to picture two things. First, a small little puddle of water that's left after a heavy rain. And second, a massive, huge rainforest, like the ones you find in Sabah. I mean, they couldn't be more different, right? So what on earth could they possibly have in common?
Well, the answer is, they're both ecosystems. And to really get what that means, we need to understand the basic building blocks of nature. So come on, let's build this concept together, right from the ground up.
Okay, at the very bottom, the most basic unit, we have a species. You can think of it as a group of organisms that look kind of similar and, this is the important part, can reproduce with each other. So a group of hornbills is a species because, well, they can make more baby hornbills. Simple enough. So, what's the next level up? When you get a whole bunch of those hornbills, all from the same species, mind you, living together in the same forest, you've got yourself a population. It's not just one lonely bird. It's a whole group living in their home, their habitat. Now this is where it gets really interesting. A forest isn't just full of hornbills, right? No way. You've got populations of monkeys swinging around, pitcher plants, tons of insects. When all these different populations live together and interact with one another, we call that a community. And here it is, the final piece of our puzzle. You take that whole community of living things, and you add in all the non-living stuff they interact with, the rain, the sunlight, the air, the soil, and voila, you have a complete ecosystem. And that, my friends, is why both a tiny puddle and a giant rainforest fit the definition. Okay, so we know what an ecosystem is, but how does it actually work? What powers the whole thing? Well, it all comes down to energy. And for pretty much every ecosystem here on Earth, the one ultimate source of all that energy is the sun. So let's trace that energy. A classic example you'd find in a Malaysian paddy field is a food chain. First, the sun's energy is captured by the paddy plant. That's our producer. Then, along comes a rat, the primary consumer, and it eats the paddy. Uh-oh. Next, the rat gets eaten by a snake, our secondary consumer, who then gets snatched up by an eagle, the tertiary consumer. You see? It's a straight line of energy transfer. But here's the crazy part, and I mean, this is really mind-blowing. At every single one of those steps, about 90% of the energy is lost. 90%! That means the eagle at the very top is only getting a tiny, tiny little piece of the original energy that the paddy plant got from the sun. So where did all that energy go? Did it just disappear? Nope. The animals used it just to live, for moving around, for breathing, for keeping their bodies warm. A lot of it is also lost as heat, or in things like, well, their poop. So it's actually a super inefficient process. Right, so energy just flows in one direction and gets used up. But nutrients? That's a whole different story. Essential things like water, carbon, and oxygen get recycled over and over and over again. You could say that nature is the ultimate recycler. Nothing goes to waste. Let's take the water cycle. Rain falls, evaporates, forms clouds, but living things play a huge role in that. Plants are like giant water pumps. They suck up water through their roots and release it as vapor from their leaves. And animals? Yep, that includes us. We release water vapor every single time we breathe out. All of that goes back into the cycle. And then you've got the carbon and oxygen cycle. It's like this beautiful, perfect partnership. Plants take in the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, and in return, they release the oxygen that we need to live. And then we, and plants too, use that oxygen for respiration, and we release carbon dioxide back. It's this perfect give and take. So, in a community, organisms don't just eat each other. They interact in all sorts of fascinating and complicated ways. Now, quick heads up. This is a very, very popular exam topic, so you're going to want to pay close attention to what's coming next. Let's talk about symbiosis, which basically just means living together. First up, mutualism. Think of it as a win-win or plus-plus. Both sides benefit, like a mynah bird getting a free meal by eating ticks off a buffalo, and the buffalo gets cleaned. Then there's commensalism. That's a +0. One benefits, the other one is just, doesn't care. Like a remora fish hitching a free ride on a shark. And finally, parasitism, a +-. One benefits, but the other one gets harmed, like a tapeworm living inside a person. Yikes. Besides those close relationships, you've got two other really key interactions. The prey-predator one is pretty simple, right? A predator hunts and eats the prey, a lion and a zebra. But then there's competition. This is when organisms fight for the same limited resources: food, water, a place to live. And this can happen between different species or even between members of the same species, like two tigers fighting over the same patch of jungle.
You see, a healthy ecosystem is all about balance. All these cycles and interactions work together in harmony. But, and this is a big but, that balance is incredibly fragile, and it can be very, very easily disrupted, especially by our activities.
And we see the effects of this all around us in Malaysia. Just think about the huge areas of forests that are cleared for oil palm plantations or for new buildings, or the pollution from factories. And what about the haze that we get from burning fossil fuels? Yeah, our actions have some pretty major consequences for nature's balance.
But here's the good news. It's not all doom and gloom. We can be part of the solution. And it's not just about what the government does. What you do matters. We can all practice the 5 Rs, support protecting our forests, and learn about really clever solutions. I mean, how cool is this idea of biological control? Using owls to hunt rats in plantations instead of using poison. That's working with nature, not against it.
So if there's one thing I want you to take away from all this, it's this. We aren't separate from the ecosystem. We are a really, really powerful part of it. Think of it like a giant team. So after everything we've gone through today, my question to you is, what is your role in that team? Hope this explainer helped you guys out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.